Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We'll continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, 40 fundamentals of the religion, 40 fi usul din by Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah. Wa nafa'ana bihum fi ad-darain. Ameen, ameen, ameen. And we began reading the chapter on gratitude, and we did not finish it. And the very last paragraph that we have read, if you saw the gift that reached you, had the king's signature, of course. This is simply a metaphor, really. If you realize that this is really a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that would not detract you from gratitude, because you know that the pen is subordinate to him, subordinate to the king, and that it by itself has no part in blessing. Hence, your heart does not tend to rejoicing for the pen and thanking it. Likewise, it does not tend to the treasurer or the manager, since you know that they are subordinate and bound to give after the command by themselves. They have no part in the blessing. This reminds me of something that Said Nursi said, rahimahullah. By the way, Said Nursi he thought of himself, like he did mention directly. It's not something that we need to decipher, but he said something like he was on the footsteps of Imam Al-Ghazali. He wanted to be his methodology like Imam Al-Ghazali, one way or the other. It's a little bit more complex. He was not systematic in that fashion, but he died in the year 1960, rahimahullah. But why I mentioned his name, because he said that on everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, there is a sign. Really, it's the seal, the Ottoman seal. But of course, it's not the Ottoman seal. I'm just simply trying to the word that he used, the Torah, is like the Ottoman seal. So on everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, there is that kind of seal. It's not really a physical seal, but you would know immediately when you are dealing with something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. So you don't rain is created, okay? You don't thank the rain. You thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't thank the wind that drove the clouds, because the wind also are created. So Imam Al-Ghazali now says, he whose insight has been opened is like this. He knows that the sun, the moon, and the stars are subordinate to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like the pen, the paper, and the ink are for signing. Likewise, he knows that the hearts of the creation are the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe we need to simply fine-tune the translation of treasures. So the hearts of the creation are the treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, they are, but really kind of the safe that has the treasure. Okay, that's where you keep the treasures. Maybe not much of a difference, but وأن قلوب الخلق خزائن الله تعالى ومفاتيحها بيد الله عز وجل, meaning وأن مفاتيحها, the keys to which are in Allah's hand, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, immediately, nothing's like unto him. He opens them by exerting upon them the needs of the treasure keepers, such that one believes, for example, that his best interest lies in spending, and with that he cannot leave spending. Thus he is compelled to choose, owing to the needs of choice that are exerted upon him. One surely does not give you anything except for his own interests, whether to gain some reward in the world to come, earn some acclaim, or mention here and now, or other than that. Hatm al-Ta'i has been named as the most generous before the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before the Bi'ath, before uh, the first the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did meet his daughter and son, but he has already passed away by that time. So he's considered as the most generous. There could be more generous, of course, but he just became known as most generous. But he wanted, I mean, he did mention that he wanted to be remembered as generous, which is really corresponds to earn some acclaim or mentioned here and now. And we are mentioning him after, this is almost 1500 years after that, after his acts of generosity, outstanding generosity. Banu Hashim in Mecca. In fact, that's that's not even the name Hashim. It became the name because from the act of smashing the food in preparation for the food for the pilgrims and the guests who came to Mecca, and generosity is a beautiful thing. So because of that generosity, because of that act, that became the name of Hashim. Generosity. So we continue, inshallah, with generosity, but the only thing is to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not because of mention. People would mention. I mean, it's definitely something not worthy, but not for the sake of mention. But people will, unless it's really something done in private. It is not he, then, who is the one bestowing blessings upon you, because he is working for himself. The only one who bestows blessings is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who subordinated him by exerting these needs over him, and settled in his conscience the idea that his interest depends on paying and giving. If you know this, then you are a unifier, subscribing to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, muwahid, true monotheism in that sense. And gratitude is conceivable from you. Indeed, this realization is the very meaning of gratitude. It does not mean that you don't thank. It does not mean that you don't thank. It means you realize that whatever befalls you, either directly or at the hand of someone, still it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember again, من لا يشكر الناس لا يشكر الله. If you are not thankful to people, you are not thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two different levels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you. It could be the whatever good is coming to you. Of course, if I speak about a material thing, not because there is wealth, there are social, psychological things. All of them are gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because it's really close to what people understand. It could come to you through, and it should, at one point when you are a baby, it comes through your parents, grandparents, it could be neighbors, it could be siblings. Later on in life, your parents they might be dependent on you. But all in all, in every respect, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you should be thankful. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam said in his supplications, my God, you created Adam with your hand and acted and acted. How did he thank you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he knew that was from me, and that realization was gratitude. The second pillar is the state invested through knowledge, which is happiness due to the bestower of blessings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, along with an attitude of subservience and reverence. Whoever is sent a horse by a king, it is conceivable that he rejoices over it from three aspects: because he benefits from the horse, because he infers from it that the king is concerned about his affairs and that he will give him something greater, or because the horse will be a mount for him so that he may travel to the king and serve him. The first has nothing to do with gratitude, for it is happiness for the blessing and not for the giver of the blessing. The second is included in gratitude. However, it is weak in relation to the third. Perfect gratitude is for joy to be over what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up from his blessings, not over the blessing for the sake of it being a blessing. Rather, it should be for the sake that it is a means to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For through his blessings, righteous deeds are completed. The sign of this is that a person is not happy with any blessing that distracts him from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, he is sad about it, but rejoices over the preoccupation with the world and its excess from which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has turned him away. This is the most perfect gratitude. However, or whoever cannot do this, he must do the second. As for the first, it is happiness over the blessing, not the giver of blessings, which has nothing to do with gratitude. The third pillar is deeds, which is that a person uses his blessings for those things that are beloved to him, not to disobey him. No one does this except someone who knows Allah's wisdom subhanahu wa ta'ala in the whole of his creation and why he created everything. An explanation of this would take too long, and we have already mentioned it in a portion of the revival, the Ihya of the religious sciences, Ihya al-Din. In summary, it is to know, for example, that his eye is a blessing from him, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So gratitude for it is by using it to read the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and scholarly books, to look at the heavens and the earth in order to take lessons from them and venerate their creator. ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك وقنا عذاب النار. And those who ponder upon the universe, upon the heavens and the earth, and they reach the conclusion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not create all this in vain. To look at the heavens and the earth in order to take lessons from them and venerate their creator. And by covering every fault that he sees from the Muslims. And this is something I would say that really magnanimous in the relationship with the Muslims. وأن يستر كل عورة يراها من المسلمين. Not to jump and to simply start talking about the shortcomings, and every society has shortcomings, and every society has the part of the glass empty, part of the glass full. I did not say half. Okay, it could be. And I can see now around the world how many societies, they might be doing very, very well in terms of economics, but they have already changed the legally the definition of a family. They have allowed so many things. Alcohol is permitted, drugs are permitted, they are not, punishable. You could buy certain, not hard drugs in certain places. But like I have seen in Manhattan, people selling marijuana now in the open. And all the government is thinking about the income that could come through taxes like cigarettes and what have you. Gambling is illegal in many parts of the world. Prostitution is legal. People changing, and you talk about literally more than 100 genders and counting. Like things are so in terms of the material wealth, or these societies could have plentiful, but many things have changed. And not to the better, of course, needless to say. It is to use one's ear to listen to remembrance and what is of benefit in regards to the afterlife, and to turn away from listening to vulgar language and prattle. It is to use the tongue for the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to praise Him by showing gratitude to Him without complaining. Whoever is asked about his condition and complains is disobedient, because he has complained about the King of Kings to a lowly slave who is incapable of doing anything. But if he praises him, he is obedient. As for the heart's gratitude, it is by using it in contemplation, remembrance, and realization, having a good opinion of the creation, and having good intentions. The same applies to the arm, the leg, and all other body parts, as well as wealth and countless other things beside him. Those who are incapable of perfect gratitude know that only know that the only one for whom perfect gratitude is possible is he whose heart Allah has to Islam, and thus is upon light from his Lord. Maybe know that the only one for whom perfect gratitude is possible is he whose heart Allah has to Islam. Allah has expanded, enlightened, directed, uh, guided. So he sees the wisdom, the secret, and what is beloved to Allah in everything. As for a person to whom this has not been unveiled, he must follow the Sunnah and the limits of sacred law. For within them are the secrets of gratitude. He should he should know that if he were to look at an unrelated woman, for example, he has been ungrateful for the blessing of the eye, the blessing of the sun, and every blessing without which looking would not be possible. Indeed, vision is incomplete without the eye and the sunlight, and the sun is incomplete without the heavens. Thus, it is as if he is ungrateful for the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the heavens and the earth. Apply this to every act of disobedience, for they are only made possible by causes that require the existence of the heavens and the earth in their entirety. One can delve very deeply into this, and we have alluded to it in the Book of Gratitude from the Revival. One example will suffice you here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created dirhams and dinars, meaning silver and gold, respectively, to be a standard in all situations through which value is standardized. If it were not for them, transactions would be difficult. For the way to buy clothes with saffron or animals with food is unknown because there is no appropriate relationship between them. Okay, now let's see. For the way to buy clothes with saffron or animals with food like exchanging before the advent of money. There is nothing. There's no commonality. There's nothing. Uh, they only share in the essence of value. The gauge for measuring their marketability in gold is gold and silver. Whoever hoards them keeps them keeps them away from the market. It's like someone who imprisons a Muslim ruler until his rulings are obstructed. Whoever takes a utensil is like someone who uses a Muslim ruler for weaving and farming, which anyone is able to do until his rule is obstructed, which is worse than imprisoning him. Whoever invests them and makes them the goal of his commerce by exchanging between the good and the bad is like someone who distracts the ruler from ruling and takes him as a personal servant to gather firewood, sweep, and prepare meals. There's nothing inherently bad in doing these things, but such a waste if the ruler is going to do that. I remember a ruler from one of the Muslim countries was engaged in a Guinness record activity, um, having the longest chain made out of coins being put one next to the other. That's that's not really the job of the ruler. That's not really the job of the ruler. It's been almost 30 years, so I think it's going to be very hard for people to detect it. All of this is oppression and altering the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding His creation and slaves, and animosity toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concerning what He has favored. Whoever does not have these secrets unveiled to him through the light of insight knows the letter of the law without its meaning. It is said to him, والذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة ولا ينفقونها في سبيل الله فبشرهم بعذاب أليم يوم يحمى عليها في نار جهنم فتكوى بها جباههم وجنوبهم وظهورهم هذا ما كنزتم لأنفسكم فذوقوا ما كنتم تكنزون. Those who hoard gold and silver and do not spend them in Allah's path, give them the news of a painful punishment. On the day it will be heated, on the day it will be heated in the fire of hell. Their foreheads, sides, and backs will be branded with it. And it will be said, this is what you hoarded for yourselves. Now taste what you used to hoard. It is also said to him, whoever drinks from a container of gold or silver, it is if he has gulped the fire of Jahannam in his belly. It is as if he, okay. الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. Okay, that whoever drinks from a container of gold or silver is a hadith muttafaq alayh, has been narrated by both Al-Bukhari and Muslim. We shouldn't. It's money. People should pay attention. الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقول الذي تخبطه الشيطان من المس. Those who consume interest usually will not stand on the day of resurrection, except as one whom Satan has touched with hysteria stands. Righteous people stop at the limits, hudud, set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and do not know their secrets. Whereas when the Gnostics look at the secrets within themselves and witness the truth of sacred law, light is increased manifold. The blindness of ignorant people prevents them from stopping at the limits and discovering the secrets altogether. They are not like fearful slaves, nor like noble freemen. They are the ones about whom it is said, ولكن حق القول مني لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين. But my statement has been realized. I will fill hell with jinn and people altogether. Of course, in the Arabic, من الجنة من للتبعيض. So it's not every jinn and it's not every human being. Part of. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said, فَمَنْ يَعْلَمَ أَنَّ مَا أُنزِلَكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقُّ كَمَنْ هُوَ أَعْمَى. Is he who knows that what has been revealed to you from your Lord is the truth, like he who is blind? He also said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. فإن لهم عيشة ضنكا ونحشر يوم القيامة أعمى قال رب لم حشرتني أعمى وقد كنت بصيرا قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. Whoever turns away from my remembrance will have a hard life. And we will raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. He will say, my Lord, why have you raised me up blind when I used to see? He will say, my signs came to you like this, but you forgot them. Likewise, you are forgotten today. And these particular verses rather are used to argue against those who do not accept metaphorical allegorical interpretation, because blindness is in this life. Blindness is the blindness of the of course the heart has to be metaphorical in this life. And the last paragraph, almost there. Allah's signs are His wisdom and His creation, and they have been mentioned to the creation on the tongues of the prophets alayhim salam, just as they have been detailed from first to last in the summation of sacred law. There is not a single one of the limits of sacred law but that it has a secret, a special property and wisdom. Whoever knows it, and whoever is ignorant of it denies it. A full explanation of this would be long. To seek it from the book of gratitude. So seek it from the book of gratitude, meaning from the Ihya. Complete gratitude is inconceivable except from someone who stands for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, sincerely, and without any ulterior desire for other than Him. We shall therefore mention sincerity and truthfulness, the topics for the sixth principle that we will deal with inshallah tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.